Give me a second, and no, I don't normally stream this early. Give me a second, like I said. Yes, I'm still using my kitchen table because, number one, my desk upstairs in my treasury, which was formerly known as my room, isn't exactly the biggest place in the world. And two, because of how big and large this table is, it provides a bigger space for me to record gameplay footage. Also, let me go put this game back in my satchel of holding. Supposed to be keeping that on me at all times, actually. Almost forgot about that. I was just playing Superhero Squad, managed to unlock all of the alternate costumes that I hadn't had. Some of them were really hard to get. Specifically, A-Bomb for Abomination. Like, that alternate costume, good God, like, the AI in that fight is insufferable. I was playing as Iron Man, and Iron Man has the ability to use his missiles and whatnot. And he was just shielding. It was so annoying. But we're going to be playing a different game today. I'm actually going to turn the volume up this time. But before I turn the volume up, we're not talking about any difficult topics today. We're just having fun. We are going to be playing probably one of the more lesser known games out there. And this specific version is very, very unknown to most people. We are going to be playing the Blob 2. It's worth noting that they did actually have plans to port the original The Blob to the DS, but for whatever reasons I can't remember at the moment, they actually scrapped it. Thankfully, we have a DS port of the second game, which is kind of meant to exist in a vacuum. Kind of, sort of, not really. It's a very fun concept. Anyone who's played the original The Blob knows exactly what the game is like. Turn things down a little bit. But you are basically a blob named Blob, very creative name, I know. And your goal in all of the games is to basically restore the color to the world around you. It's a very interesting concept. It's not the most original concept, but I say it's interesting because, well, you'll actually see when the game starts. When the first level starts, I mean. As stilted as they may be, as minimalist as they may be, I like the animation in these cutscenes. I have to admit, also, just did that by itself. That's never happened before. Anyway, reasons why I like this game so much. Yeah, right there. Like how the environment literally changes color around you. Not to mention the dynamic soundtrack, I guess you could call it. Yeah, you'll hear bits of the music as you color in the environment around you. And I mean like every single part of the environment. It's really, really cool. This was actually done to a much elaborate extent in the console version of both of the games, mind you, not just this one. Oh. You have a ground pound attack. And you also have, like what I just did right there, essentially a sonic homing attack, which is done by pressing A. Ground pound is A plus B. Apologizing once again because I can't read the chat. I'm focusing on the game. So I do apologize in advance if people are trying to chat with me in the chat. Chat with you in the chat. That makes no sense. But still, you know what I mean. These are... I forget their name, but these are basically spider robot things that they change your color or they give you back health. Your health is down here. And there's also something else about ground pounding that's a very important part of the game. And that is when you're covered in ink, you have to ground pound to shake it off, because ink is essentially poison in this world, I guess. Meaning that if it's on you for a prolonged period of time, you periodically take damage, and you don't want that, because you can only take 3 hits before dying. And yes, there is a life system right there. Ah! Speaking of taking damage, though, you can see I already took a hit. I think that guy's name is Comrade Black, the bad guy. Yes, you can mix colors. It's a very unique game. It's really cool. Not a lot of games do something like this. And I especially love how each color basically has its own instrument. Careful. Careful! Ah! Also, seeing a green blob reminds me of the Ooze. Yes, the Ooze, that really, really obscure Sega Genesis game that I don't think anyone ever played. I know I have a friend of mine who's played that game, and he absolutely loves it. It's a very interesting and bizarre game with like a top-down perspective and literal physics. From what I remember, it's one of the only 2 Genesis games to actually have physics. Yeah, they're like these blob guys, and passing by them while having a color, doesn't matter if it's a solid color or a combination of colors, will basically revive them. I guess they've been drained of their color, just like how the entirety of the world has been. Again, it's a very interesting concept, and it's a game that I do recommend to anyone. As a matter of fact, while not remastered, but rather preserved in their original forms, both of the games, they're on Switch. I don't think they're on other modern consoles. I might have that incorrect. I only have the first game on Switch as of right now. I do have plans on getting the sequel on Switch. I was playing this late last night, and I was like, Oh hey, what with this game being so borderline criminally underrated, this would make a very interesting idea for a stream. Oh, music note. Yeah, I guess music notes are kind of this game's equivalent to stars or jiggies or whatever. Kind of. Kind of. I'm trying to jump up that wall. Another game that I was playing last night was Garfield's Nightmare. Another criminally underrated Nintendo DS game. Some people thought it was okay. Some people really liked the game. I know it has like a dedicated speedrun community, which is interesting. It's very uncommon for licensed games to have dedicated speedrun communities. The most obvious exception to that rule would be Battle for Bikini Bottom, to the point where that game's remake was the result of the speedrun community. Also, yeah, you have missions periodically. It's pretty cool. There are different enemy types throughout the game. You're not going to see all of them in one level, so I can just go over some of them now. There are much tougher guys that you have to be really careful of because they can actually deal a really big amount of damage. And keep in mind, you have only 3 bars of health. There are guys who are specific colors, and in order to kill them, you have to be a certain color. There are guys that will throw ink bombs at you, and as I said, ink is very, very bad. It's borderline toxic in this universe. Oh, thought something else was going to happen. There are also these guys with like these, I guess, electric saw blades of sorts that will actively try and hunt you down. They will charge you, and they really suck because they're relentless. Those are all the enemies that I've encountered throughout the game so far, anyway. Let me see. I think I'm gonna play a few more levels before wrapping up the stream. Turn things up a tad. Hold on. Let me move a little bit closer. Fun little detail, by the way, is that when you're covered in ink, a majority of the music actually disappears entirely, basically to more or less showcase just how lifeless everything is without color. That's actually really clever. I love stuff like that. And I already praised just how awesome it is how each color has, like, it literally has its own unique instrument accompanying it. That's a really nice touch. The closest thing that I can think of... Oh, not brown. That looks very strange. The closest thing I can think of to a game doing this would be a lot of the SpongeBob games, actually a lot of Nickelodeon's early licensed games in the early 2000s. They had this quirk. They had this quirk where there would be essentially the same theme, but different variations of that theme depending on the context. Like, there would be a variant playing when you're idling, you know, when there's nothing going on around you, a normal variant, or a variant for when you engage in battle with enemies. It's really cool when any game does that. I love that kind of thing. Like, I'm the kind of guy who appreciates simple things. Because, you know, like, it's the simple things that stick out the most after all. Pursue stupid saw blade thing. New mission!
There are also going to be some platforms that you'll have to color in a certain color, which is a pretty interesting gimmick. It makes for some very unique puzzle solving, and I really do like that, especially in my 2D platformer games. Curse you. Anything over here? Oh, also I didn't mention, but reviving these guys, that's part of your level clear percentage. So keep that in mind as well. Yeah, I really love this soundtrack. It's very nice in the ears. So I mentioned Sonic earlier when I was talking with the homing attack thing, right? I bring that up again because I've been playing a little bit of Sonic Colors, specifically new mission, specifically the DS version, which people love to call they love to call it part of this quote unquote trilogy of games, and that's not true. That is inaccurate. That is an inaccurate statement. Like people call it part of this quote unquote Rush trilogy when there's Sonic Rush Adventure, and that is it. Sonic Colors isn't called Sonic Rush Colors or anything like that after all. But with that out of the way, what else I want to talk about with that game is a lot of people praise those three Sonic games on the DS for their sense of scale in utilizing the whole DS's dual screen feature, and I just don't see it. Like, it's just for making levels taller. I think I mentioned this a few streams ago, but, like, yeah, I'm just not that impressed. It's because Thor God of Thunder, specifically the DS version of the game, does the whole sense of scale thing so much better. Where's you? No, in a very weak state. Yeah, if you have absolutely no color, you are in a very, very weak state. And yes, there are these specifically colored switches. You have to be a certain color in order to activate them at all. See? See? I can't do anything to it unless I'm red. Try and get the enemies, not the switch. Yeah. But yes, topic. Yeah, I don't find it that impressive. Like, it's cool, but like that's really it. I guess it's fitting because we're talking about Sonic the Hedgehog. But yeah, it seems to rely explicitly on visual flair, and that's going to wear off incredibly quickly, depending on which way you go about pulling off visual flair. And like I said, I'm not impressed. Let's see, I get the level. I always try to see if there's something beyond the whatever that is that indicates the end of the level. I don't think it's one of those games. Oh yes. Yeah, so if you play this on a DSi or higher, there's like this feature that incorporates the camera. I'm not going to do it. I think it just nets you more points. Like, essentially, it nets you more music notes, I believe, which are basically this game's equivalent of coins in a Mario game or whatever. It's a pretty interesting idea, I guess, but like that's kind of it. Once again, trying to get back to the topic at hand, Sonic on the DS. Yeah, like if you like those games, if you think that they look pretty cool, that's fine. I respect your opinion and all, but being real, Thor God of Thunder for DS did that so much better. The whole sense of scale thing, because it made bosses massive. Like, It's impressive. And I ain't being no hypocrite either. I have Sonic Colors for the DS after all. Oh, you can't spam that, I guess. You have to do the ground pound. Very strange. Music note. Ah. Careful. Ah, no. I don't know what those are down there. But yeah, as you saw, they allow you to basically multiply your jump. I can't think of another way to describe it. It's a very strange but interesting mechanic. It's just kind of hard to pull off at times. A little bit of a puzzle going on here. I was trying to grab those notes. I don't think I can go back and get them. Oh well. They're basically just coins. It doesn't make it all. It doesn't really matter. Oh no. Wait. Please tell me there's a yellow one of those things around here. Otherwise, I'm stuck. Okay. Yes, there is. No. Game. And I think you need to be green for another puzzle later on in the game, so this is not helping matters. Let me just time that jump carefully. There we go. So I want to talk about something else, and that's Bop-It. Big surprise, I know. But no, I'm genuinely curious. I really am curious if we're going to get a Bop-It Extreme 2 remake. You know, because we got the Bop-It Extreme Classic back in 2022, which I still stand by that being a breath of fresh air. You kidding me? What with the way that Hasbro has been treating Dan Klitzner over the past few years? You kidding me? Of course that was a breath of fresh air. No, I don't want to be green now. Ironically, because that's my favorite color. Or at least for a Blob character. Come on, there we go, yes! But yeah, I know Dan Klitzner himself was very excited for the Bop-It Extreme Classic, as we call it. You know, the one that came out in 2022. That was such a breath of fresh air because, like, for context, the very last Bop-It Extreme was the Bop-It XT in 2010. And yes, it's the Bop-It that we associate with the year 2010. We don't talk about Bop-It Bounds in this house. Hopefully, that'll end up being the case. I'm cautiously optimistic, you could say, about that happening, because any Bop-It fan will tell you, Hasbro loves taking control of that IP. I mean, look at all the characters that have been released. And to be fair, and I've said this in passing multiple times, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are sick and tired of hearing me say it, but I will take any chance I can to drag that point home. But to be fair, to be absolutely fair, not all of the characters were bad. Like, sure, their existence is kind of controversial, But I'm talking about characters such as Bop-It Spider-Man, Bop-It Leonardo, Bop-It Optimus Prime, or as the community has dubbed it, Boptimus Prime. Guys up there. I think there's some down here as well. But yeah, hopefully we get something fresh instead of just another character, because with those exceptions, I don't have the stomach for that anymore. Then again, I don't know how I feel about Hasbro as a company in general as of right now, for the record, because that's also the same company that deliberately killed any chance the game Tickle Toes had of selling well. Try and get those notes, whatever. Go downwards. But yeah, like, the way that was treated upon its launch can't be seen as anything other than self-sabotage. From what I remember, that's the reason why Tickle Toes bombed. It's because Hasbro, for whatever reason, had no faith in the game selling at all. I guess they thought it would compete with both Bop-It and Simon at the same time. And, like, that at least makes sense because the gameplay reminds me of a combination of those games. But still, that's not an excuse to deliberately sabotage a project. Heck, we still don't know who invented the thing. We know for a fact, though, that it wasn't Dan Twitzner. That's all we know. What are you? I think that's a blob icon. I'm not sure if that's an extra life. I think those are extra lives. No, I'm not trying to wall jump. I'm trying to hit the switch. I'm trying to hit the switch! Thank you. Is there anything up there? No. Ah! That was crazy! Oh, right. There we go. Oh, something else that I completely spaced on mentioning yesterday because stupid me is when I was talking about video game cartoons, guess which one I forgot to mention? Go ahead, guess. Kirby right back at ya. I know it's more of an anime than a cartoon, but it's a video game adaptation regardless, so I have no excuse for forgetting to bring it up. And that's a video game adaptation I know people love. There's that one episode that people absolutely love the most, Cartoon Buffoon, where King Dedede flat out tries to make his own cartoon to the point where he actually redoes the intro entirely. It's hilarious. That was odd. I was on the platform, but it didn't register that I was on the platform. But yeah, that is probably one of the few flawless video game adaptations I've ever seen. There's also a Ninja Gaiden OVA that I have not seen. It supposedly got an English translation, but it's apparently not an official English translation, which is kind of annoying. Also, there was like a Final Fantasy, specifically Final Fantasy II OVA, apparently. Should I do one more level? Should I do one more level? Maybe. Sure. Preferably the first world though, because I want to play a level that might pose to be really, really difficult right now. Like I just woke up, so Sure. I know some people have mixed opinions on the original Pac-Man cartoon, the one by Hanna-Barbera, which, for the record, I actually never knew that that was a thing until recently. Not fairly recently, like a few years ago. It's a very strange cartoon, but like in a positive context. I have no idea what Mesmerin was all about, though. I have no idea why they thought the need to include a guy who was commanding the ghosts as his minions or whatever. I always thought that Blinky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde were like they were basically villains on their own. At least with Ghostly Adventures, that made sense because of the lore and established context. They worked for Betrayus. And like Ghostly Adventures had a more fleshed out story and established lore. Pac-Man having lore, yes, really. But with the original 60s cartoon, it just came across as rather bizarre. That's the only negative thing I have to say about about the cartoon. Other interesting bits about the game's existence, I mean, the show's existence, good lord, that is confusing, is Pac-Land, you know, the game that was a tie-in to the cartoon, but also apparently can be considered its own thing. And yes, it got its own stage in Smash Ultimate. Like, that is... God, that is so confusing. Also, yeah, you have these jets of water, I think, that you can launch yourself from. It's pretty cool, I guess. I think the frame rate is dropping in real time. I'm not entirely sure what's up with that. I'm sorry. Green! Go green machine! Wait, why can't I... Oh, am I supposed to use the poster to help myself get... No, the water jet thing. There we go. Alright. Stupid me. After I'm done with this level, I'm gonna wrap things up, for the record. No. Come on, dude. No! Thank you. I'm going to end your existence. Thank you. See, at least I'm polite when I ask my enemies to die. Discord. Let me see. There we go. think those are the guys. I think those are the ones that you have to have a certain color. Yep, you can't harm them in your normal state. You have to be a certain color. Also, apologies for the abrupt silence right there. I wasn't really saying that much because I was waiting for my I was waiting for my mom and my brother to leave because, you know, I'm trying to record. And it can be very noisy when they're around. Why can't I get that thing? I still don't know what that's supposed to be. I think that is an extra life. It looks, like I said, like a blob icon. Please tell me there's a way to get it. Yes, there is! And yes, they are extra lives. I wasn't sure. Alright. I need to be... I think that's yellow or green? I can't tell. And I have to be blue as well. I have to defeat those guys. What are they carrying? Batons or swords or something? I think. I end your existence. I end your existence. I end your existence. Oh wait, you're green, not yellow. I'm kind of colorblind, so it's hard to tell. Also, yeah, I can see that the stream, the game is just kind of dropping frames right now. I'm sorry, I can't do anything. I can't do anything about that. I apologize immensely. But more importantly, once again, I end your existence. This game's got a lot of great animation. Blob himself is very expressive. I have no idea why I'm mentioning that now. I forgot to mention that earlier, and that is blasphemous. Like, look at how he moves. He's clearly a very expressive character. Although his mouth kind of strikes me as a little bit uncanny. Like, I can't tell if he's got teeth or lips. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes. And the existence. There we go. Turn on that. I still don't know what that's supposed to be. Is that like a jet of water or a fan? Or something. Also, I have a little bit of hiccups. Alright, I'm gonna end the stream. Let me see how I did on the Oh wait, hold on. One last cutscene before we end the stream. Like a little victory dance. It's cute. There's everything about the characters in this game, like the art style for the characters, and like I said with Blob's expressions, very, very expressive and over the top and cartoony, and I love that. Yeah, it's weird because I can't really tell what style they're going for with his mouth specifically. It's kind of odd. Pinky! I think that's her name. Nice. Alright. Gonna end the stream here.